XRP isn't the only asset that can do this. However, everything comes as part of context. So if we're looking to send a neutral transaction from fiat into an intermediary asset that both sides of the payment can agree on into another fiat currency, then XRP is the only option. If there is a payment in the domestic world where both entities just trust the dollar and are happy to use a dollarized cryptocurrency, a stablecoin pegged to the dollar, they likely will just use USDC on the Stellar network. There would be no need for XRP in that moment, because contextually the two parties don't need XRP. They just need what they both believe in, which would be USDC in that instance. Now, what I found really interesting in researching this is that you might be thinking, okay, if they're using Stellar, are they actually using XLM underneath as the conversion asset? And actually, no. Stellar is providing the infrastructure to allow USDC to act as the conversion layer. So XLM isn't the mandated conversion asset for that blockchain. But again, that's not always the case. If we're not doing a neutral FX trade where you've got fiat into XRP into fiat, and you're not doing one currency into a mutually agreeable USDC into another currency, well, then there actually is another asset that is being used and is chosen as a conversion asset, as a bridge asset, but again, in a different context. This new context that we're looking at is within the DeFi space. And the asset that's actually doing it is called Rune. And Rune is part of Thorchain. Now, what's interesting about Rune is that any swap that happens on this blockchain has to go into Rune first and then be converted out of Rune into another asset that has a pair with Rune. So every asset within Thorchain has to have a trading pair with Rune. And this is acting as a pure on-chain conversion asset. It's not a bank corridor. It's simply a conversion asset for DeFi situations. So you might be thinking, well, why isn't Rune actually used as a technology for all the banks and stuff? Well, when you compare what is required to operate in the DeFi space versus what is required to operate in the TradFi space or the CeFi space, the centralized finance, which is this new system, or the traditional system, you have to meet these really extreme different criterias. And these are criterias that take years and years and years to develop. So, theoretically, Rune could compete with XRP, but Thorchain has years and years of relationships that it would have to build. It'd have to undergo all the regulation. It'd have to undergo all the lawsuits. It'd have to do a monumental amount of stuff. And that's not its true purpose. Its true purpose is to operate in DeFi. And so they haven't put in the legwork to get all of those approvals and go through the regulatory guidance or anything. Whereas Ripple, from the beginning, has started that process, and it's taken them 10, 11, 12 years to do it all. Like, they're ahead. They are best suited for that role in those specific contexts.